Hi guys, my name is Melody and thanks for stopping by. And today is a book review and I'm going to review two books, Dead Ends, The Pursuit, Conviction and Execution of Female Serial Killer Aileen Wuornos, The Damsel of Death by Joseph Michael Reynolds, and Dear Dawn by Aileen Wuornos herself. Now, I'm going to be looking over here because I've got notes on my keyboard, and I know I keep doing that because I'm looking at the viewfinder rather than looking at the camera, sorry. But let me just get into this because I actually took notes this time, so maybe it'll be a bit more coherent, but I doubt this. Because what do we do on this channel? We ramble. So let's get started. So the first book, Dead Ends, I'm not going to read the full title again. I gave it 3 stars. It was published in 1993 but republished with the update about the execution in 2004. The book is not based on any interviews with Wuornos herself. Rather, the information comes from the trial and the police reports, including the tapings of Wuornos and Ty in which she convicted herself. Or at least they got her to confess. There's not much information on the victims as such. There is some little knowledge that we do know on the victims. One of them, I think the first one actually was a rapist. But it's to be expected as, again, this book was written in the 1990s. What I found with this book that it was overly descriptive to fairly things that may not have been witnessed by the writer. So he describes the whole scene as such rather than like describing maybe just what's going on. I don't know if the detectives within the case described the setting. It did focus on how she blamed others for her crimes and the investigation. And I gave it 3 stars because the writing wasn't very good. There were too many things inserted to fill out the content is what I believe. And to be honest, it was boring if you knew of Aileen Wuornos' story before you read it, especially if you had seen some documentaries. So that book was alright if you wanted to know the basic outline. It wasn't the best. Now, I'll get into Dear Dawn, Aileen Wuornos in her own words, as written by Aileen Wuornos. So this is 3 stars as well. It was published in 2012. It was the unedited letters of Aileen to her friend Dawn Botkins. So she wrote her for the whole time that she was in prison. It was either 12 or 15 years, I can't remember, because she was executed in 2002 in Florida. I only gave it 3 stars, one, because it was a one-sided conversation. However, I know it's possible that the letters from Dawn were never saved. It does show exactly how unhinged she was, because she constantly talks about one thing and then she goes and conflicts herself or goes back on what she said before, and she takes it back and she goes forward like that she was a victim, she's not a victim, that sort of thing. There's a lot of talk with sex with men in it, basically contradicting her status as everyone thinking that she was just a lesbian. Is probably more accurate to say that she was bisexual in regards to what you learn on throughout this book. She talks about that she was reading the Bible constantly, and there's a lot of talk about Jesus and things like that and going to heaven after she is executed. So she had this weird obsession that she would go to heaven because she had read the Bible 15 times and she had taken Jesus and all that stuff. I'm not a very religious person myself. I can't say anything on that, to be honest, because I haven't been to church since probably when my son was born, because I'll go to church with my parents or my mother when I go to America, but that's about it. Most of the time, no, I'm just not very religious. So I don't know the Bible inside and out, but I am very interested in religious studies, which is really odd, but anyway. So this lady, before her first child, she was adopted by Aileen Wuornos, which was this born-again Christian woman in Florida. We don't know if she was trying to save her or what was going on there. And she had a crazy lawyer, Steve Glazier, who basically, I don't know if he exploited her, but it does come across as exploitation, to be fair, in this book. But she was constantly going off and saying, oh, she's mad at them, they're crooks, they're taking her money, that sort of thing. And then she's going and going, no, you contact them, I need something with them. And she does the same with Nick Broomfield. Nick Broomfield, he did 2 documentaries. I watched both of them. The Aileen Wuornos, The Selling of a Serial Killer in 1992, and Aileen, Life and Death of a Serial Killer in 2003. Check those out if you want to watch some good documentaries. She kind of thinks that he's trying to make money off of her, and then she goes and says that he's not, and she likes him, and she just goes back and forth being angry at these people constantly throughout the time period. She did, it literally was her saying that she thought everybody was out to get her, everything was a money scandal, that sort of thing. That's what you find out in here. She also said that her family didn't abuse her. So we have conflicting evidence whether or not she was abused as a child. And in that one, they said that her family didn't. And she reminisces a lot about herself on the road hitchhiking and constantly stating that she wanted to die and wanted to be executed so that she could be with God. There's also some missing letters because apparently there's thousands of letters that she wrote to Don Botkins. So that sort of thing is missing from the book. So there is a lot about the detectives that sold their story for a movie. I think it was, I'm not sure which movie it was, but it may have been Overkill, which is available on YouTube in really poor definition because it's a 1993 movie. And she constantly talks about that. She never really talked to her lover Tyria Moore after that final call, and I think the conviction and everything. She asked Dawn to get in touch with her to see how she was a couple of times, and then I think everything was settled with that. But I mean, it's a good read if you are wanting to find out more about the psychological mind of a killer sort of thing. So you do learn a lot about what's going on. There's bits where she thinks that she's watched the movie Independence Day. This is going to happen. The aliens are going to come, but they're sent by God. They're going to cleanse the earth, that sort of thing. It's very, very interesting read. However, not put together well enough for me to give it higher than a 3 stars because it was so difficult. Because the book was unedited and in her own handwriting, it was quite hard to read. If you don't read like joined up writing or cursive, as they say in America, then you probably can't read it. It'd probably be easier if you got a translated copy on a Kindle, but even that's hard to read because she does misspell a lot of things and you have to go up and look it up. I'm not going to give you the whole details of it, but it goes all the way up to her execution, pretty much, and that's where it stops. So I don't think it stops exactly at the last letter. I think that one's not in there, but it does start there. However, what I wanted to say as well is, I would say, did she deserve to be executed? If you were going on based on her mental health, no. They certainly executed somebody who had deep mental health issues and probably would have done better in the hospital or in a psychiatric hospital, which is fully locked down. And it's probably a fact that I think it was Jeb Bush that was getting reelected quite soon after, signed the death warrant, and I think it was a very political move. However, if she didn't have that sort of mental problem going on, then yes, I think she was sort of intelligent in a way, in her own way, but not as intelligent enough. And if you watch those two Nick Broomfield documentaries, especially the second one, which goes up to her execution, you actually look at her eyes and they are just pitch black and just crazy, basically. I don't know what else to say, but she did have mental health issues. And besides that, there's other female serial killers in America prior to Aileen Wuornos, even though she was categorized as America's first female serial killer, which is possibly due to the fact that she kind of killed on a hunting basis, whereas other female serial killers poisoned and did other things. But I'm not sure what classes as a serial killer if you're going on that. I just thought it was people who killed more than one person. If you are looking for other female serial killers to study, there is the first female serial killer in America, Lavinia Fisher, who was hanged in 1820 for highway robbery. However, she murdered and robbed numerous boarders by serving them poison tea. So her and her husband would serve them poison tea, and apparently there was a trapdoor in the bedroom, and once they were supposed to have gone to sleep, the bed would drop, and that would kill them, basically. There was another one, Jane Topham, in Massachusetts in 1931, who also poisoned 31 people while she was a nurse because she said she was studying the I think the process of death. And yeah, there you go. Another serial killer before Aileen Wuornos was Nanny Doss, who killed 11 between 1920 and 1954 in Oklahoma. And then you've got Dorothea Punte, a California woman who poisoned numerous elderly and mental disabled boarders, and she buried them in her back garden, or backyard if you want to be American. She was sentenced in 1993 as well, but she was sentenced to life in prison, and she died in prison. So who's to say whether or not? I mean, just to say, I'm not an advocate for the death penalty on anyone who does murders, because I think that's getting off too easy, and I think that they should do hard labor in jail for the rest of their lives and serve the country, basically making products or something like that, so that they suffer and they have to stay in their own cell and think about their crimes. However, that might not be the best. I'm not sure what the best is, because to be honest, who knows what the mind is like. Anyway, if you have enjoyed this like really dark book review, please subscribe and please like this video. Also, notifications are good. Share it with people. Sharing is caring. And I will thank you all, and I will see you next time on another one of my book reviews. Whenever I get finished reading a book, I will put it up here. Thank you so much for watching, and I love you all, and stay safe and stay positive. Bye.